Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Guns N' Roses Central, and welcome to another episode of Guns N' Roses True Story, where I take a look at some of Guns N' Roses songs, albums, and just notable events in the band's history. So today we're talking about the song Pretty Tied Up. Now, this song was featured on Use Your Illusion 2, and this is a song that was written by rhythm guitarist Izzy Stradlin. So the song opens with a choral sitar played by Stradlin. So according to Slash, he said the song was written one night at Izzy's house before the band went to Chicago to write. So if you guys remember the band's history, they had went to Chicago in 1989 to basically write some songs for the upcoming Illusions records. Now according to Slash, Stradlin was so high on heroin that night that he made a sitar out of a cymbal, a broomstick, and some strings, thus serving as an inspiration for the sitar heard at the beginning of the track. The song was first played live in Rock in Rio 2 festival back in 1991, and of course this song was also featured on the Live Era album that came out in 1999. And the song has been played live about 26 times during the Use Your Illusion tour. The last time it was actually played live was at a concert that Guns N' Roses did in Oklahoma City back in April of 1992. This performance is available on YouTube and I've linked to it down below. It's also important to note that when Guns would play the song live, they of course wouldn't have the sitar playing at the intro of the song. And the actual lyrics for the song may have been inspired by a bondage encounter with a dominatrix and her client that Izzy witnessed. So in an interview Izzy did, he said, "My Mexican friend Tony took me to meet this woman named Margot at her house. She gave us some tequila and something, and she goes into the bedroom and we walk in there and there's this big fat naked guy with an onion in his mouth. He's wearing women's underwear and high heels and he's been tied up with duct tape against the wall. Me and Tony were like, what the fuck is going on here?" Cracking up laughing. She was a dominatrix chick. We sat around her living room for the rest of the afternoon listening to records, and she'd go into the bedroom and do her thing. At the end of the day, she turned him loose and he paid her all this money. She took us out to eat. There was this whole scene of dominatrix chicks who worked in the S&M clubs. They'd beat on guys, and after work they'd take a musician out to dinner, let you stay at their place sometimes. Now, Slash actually talked about the song in his book, which was released back in 2007. He said, "We kept rehearsing, and once we'd gotten a few songs all together, we went over to Izzy's place on Valley Vista in the valley to do some writing and see where his head was. Axl showed up that day, and regardless, we started working on a song that became Pretty Tied Up. I remember that Izzy had taken a cymbal and a broomstick and some strings and made a sitar out of it. Needless to say, Izzy was pretty fucking high." Duff also talked a bit about the song in his own book, which came out in 2011. He said, "Talking about working on songs in Chicago without Axl and Izzy, we did get some work done. We finished Civil War and wrote Get in the Ring and Pretty Tied Up, to name a few." And Duff was also asked back in July of 2000 what his favorite Guns N' Roses song was to play. He said, "I don't know, there's a load of songs I like. For many a year, My Michelle was the song I'd love to play the most, but towards the end of the Illusions tour, my favorite was Pretty Tied Up." So it seems that Duff and Slash sort of have different recollections of how the song was written. So according to Slash, he thinks it was written before Chicago, and Duff says it was written while they were in Chicago. Maybe they flushed out the song and got it in its finished form, at least from the instrumental side in Chicago. Now, I kind of wonder if the song was actually an inspiration behind some of Guns N' Roses' artwork around that time. As you can see, I've seen this artwork piece a number of times on the Guns N' Roses forums and online, so I don't know if Pretty Tied Up was an inspiration behind that. Let's talk a bit about some of the live performances of the songs and some notable events. So at a concert that Guns did in Lexington, Kentucky back in 1991, after they played Pretty Tied Up, Axl asked the crowd how much they actually paid for tickets, and some people gave him some answers, $10, $20, $25. And then at a show that Guns played in Worcester, Massachusetts back in December of 91, basically the song had to be started over. And then if you guys watched the Guns N' Roses concert in Brazil for Rock in Rio 2, there's two clips from Pretty Tied Up. One is just strictly an Axl cam, and then one is Slash cam. So if you want to see what Axl is doing the entire song, even during the solos, you can see that. And same with Slash as well, so I've linked to that down below. Now, there's no demo of the song, even though the video says there's a demo. It's more of a rough mix. It's a different mix than what you actually hear on the actual album. So there's a radio station back in 2003 in Seattle called 99.9 KISW. They had a countdown of the top 999 rock songs of all time as voted by their listeners. And Guns N' Roses had a ton of songs in the top 999, and Pretty Tied Up was actually on that list. It was 499th. Just to give you guys some reference, Welcome to the Jungle was number 1, and Paradise City was number 4. So Welcome to the Jungle beat out Smells Like Teen Spirit. And while we've talked about the inspiration or possible inspiration behind the actual lyrics for the song, one can also laugh at the irony for the song as well. So there's a line in the song, or at least there's a reference to once there was this rock and roll band rolling on the streets, time went by and it became a joke. And it was very telling of what would happen to Guns N' Roses in the years ahead. Now, I'm not the person who took this view, but there's some people who viewed Guns N' Roses in the 2000s or any time after Slash and Duff left as being a joke, and it was very telling of what some fans would see, or at least what their thoughts would be of the band in the future. So let's talk about where this song ranks on Guns N' Roses' best to worst song list. So according to spin.com, they ranked it number 37, so it's ranked pretty decent on the list, while Ultimate Guitar just took basically a look at only the Illusion songs. They gave it the 12th spot, and then Medium.com ranked all of Guns N' Roses songs, and they ranked it as number 22nd. So that basically does it for my look at Pretty Tied Up. It's honestly one of my favorite songs off Live Era. I actually like the live version of the song better than I do on the studio version. Let me know your thoughts on this video. What did you guys learn? What are your thoughts about the song? And what do you think of the irony of the song? So comment down below and let me know, guys. And make sure you guys go like my Facebook page and my Twitter page. They're down in the description box below. And as always, guys, make sure you subscribe for all things related to Guns N' Roses. Take care.